All right, so hi everyone. So we are, the mic is here. So we are in the hosters and we are going to present our project today. So this is Pierre and Tim. And we started this business about 2 years ago. So we are hosting free software. We're doing free software as a service, as we say. And today we're going to explain how we do it, why we do it, and what exactly we do. So we're going to focus more on the how, because I think that's what's interesting you here. So the idea is that we started from a statement, so we all love free software. We all promote free software, but it can be really a pain in the ass to host it. So if I'm a business, for instance, and I want a cloud for sharing my files, calendar, etc., if I go to Dropbox, it's super easy. I just have this sign up button, fill the form, and then I've got everything set up. If I want to use Nextcloud, for instance, it's not the same. So I've got, so I just click on Get Nextcloud, and I get this install button, download button. So I have to install it myself, and that's like really a bottleneck for 99% of the people. And that's those people that really need it, and that we want to help them. So we're trying to do this intermediary role of hosting it for yourself and integrating it, so it's, you get just this sign up button, and you can get your cloud, your chat, your WordPress, whatever you want. And that's pretty much our goal. So if you go to the Nextcloud website, for instance, you get this sign up button. And our dream is that you get this sign up button on every free software. Like, could be in your stores, of course, but it could be another business. So that's really the idea to provide easily access to this. And yeah, so that's pretty much the vision. So now I'm gonna let Pierre talk about more the technical aspect of it and how we make it happen.
Yes, so you just saw the conference about Chaton, and if you think as Chaton as a free software, they are writing the draft of the protocol of how Chaton will be developed. And the project we are developing for indie hosters, which is called libre.sh, or SH, is like an implementation of this protocol. And so some Chaton would prefer to use Debian, and others Ubuntu. Windows is not allowed because Chaton is just free software, right? And libre.sh is an implementation. And as an implementation, we have strong opinion about how this job should be done. And we did a bet 3 years ago when we started to use Docker. And luckily for us, it's actually broadly adopted nowadays. And okay, right now, libre.sh is just on one server. But the idea is to transition to some stuff like Kubernetes and be able to deploy it on clusters. And so I will show you how it's easy to install. Does it work like this? Easy to install your own libre.sh. And so how you can bootstrap easily your own Chaton for you, your family, your association, your small and medium business, or whatever. Okay, so this is the live demo time on the command line. I'm not afraid. So I just start by creating a VM on a cloud provider, and this is in the README of libre.sh. But there are also instructions to install it on bare metal, and then you are free to make instructions for whatever you use. But to make it easier, I just use a VM on DigitalOcean. Okay, and so what I'm doing now, it's actually fully installing a libre.sh system. So now I will get an IP for this server, and what I will do is to point all my domains to this IP. Like, it's an important step for the demo, to show you how we generate automatically our certificates using Let's Encrypt. So here's the IP. I go to my DNS provider, and it's awful, but hop. Okay. So in some minutes, the DNS will be propagated, and I will wait until now. So we rely heavily on Docker, and I will show you. Okay. So I'm on the VM. Yeah, it's sudo. We still have to manage a bit better the rights. So here is one part of the file system called system. And this is where we install all the modules of the system. And so the main module is the load balancer. This is where all the traffic, the HTTP traffic, is entering. So we use HA proxy as a load balancer, and we use containers, and there is a little companion that is taking care of Let's Encrypt. So I will start by installing my load balancer. So a module is basically just a Git repo. In the hosters, jproxy. Okay, so I go there and then I just libre start. So I just started my proxy. I can consult the journal, and what you see is that it's pulling some Docker images. And basically, everything, like all the packages, like there are user packages, like web applications and modules, and everything is a Git repo containing a Docker compose at the moment. But the idea is to migrate it to Kubernetes at one point. Okay, so if we look at the journal, it's pulling images, and that's why it's a lot better to use a VM, because this VM has a good download link, whereas here I would not be able to do this demonstration. Okay, so it looks like everything is running. Ah yeah, actually my chat. Martin. So everything should be running, and if I libre.sh, well, the output is not real pretty, but everything is up, so it's kind of funnish. So I just want to check that this IP got propagated in the meantime. So if I ping cloud, no, sorry, yeah. No, sorry. Okay, so my IP is propagated, and now I'm ready to deploy applications. So, what do you want for your association? Nextcloud. Okay, super. Let's install Nextcloud. So it should be as easy as libre provision. So you specify a parameter called u for URL, and you put the URL. So let's say cloud.libre.sh. You specify the application, so it's github.com/indie hosters. We'll migrate to GitLab soon, but it takes time, you know. Nextcloud. And I will start it right away. And there is one more flag which is called buy. It's just to buy the domain name if I didn't buy it yet. But yeah, I already bought this domain name, so I don't need it. Okay, there are some warnings, but you know you can safely ignore the warnings. Now it's just that normally there is an email backend and it provisions an email automatically for each instance. So then Nextcloud will be able to send emails. So this instance of Nextcloud will not be able to send emails, but that's fine for the demonstration. And so if I go to data domains and to cloud libre.sh and to libre journal, again, it's just pulling some Docker images. And here, actually, we're a bit lucky because if you see here, this means that it's an official Docker Hub image. And it's great because it means like we don't have to manage this package. Well, actually, we did the Docker image for Nextcloud, but we don't really, we are many people maintaining it, not us only. Okay, so looks like things are working. If I libre ps, everything seems up. I can libre logs to see what's happening. Yeah, it looks like nice. And so We have a Nextcloud instance, and with the HTTPS certificate. And now we need a chat also, right? Because chat is trendy. We don't have Matrix yet, but so we can also install chat.libre.sh with the application hosted on github.com/indiehosters/rocketchat. Ah no, sorry. Indie hosters, is that, yeah. Okay, some warning to ignore. And if I go to the no, not yet. So it's pulling the image and set up a rocket chat. So it's quite nice. So I just wanted to show that we have a GitHub account, and there we have all the packages that we provide with our libre.sh. And of course, you are more than welcome if you want to come and help on this part. And actually, what we want is people using it. And I was really happy to receive my first pull request some months ago to modify the mail system to make it a bit better. And it's really because you start your code and you don't know, and somebody is using it, so it's amazing. And yeah, if you go here, it's our page, and it's all our projects, and we can create new packages, and there is a bit of documentation. And okay, that's it. And maybe if we check, blah, 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 blah. Yes. So we have a rocket chat instance.
Nice. Cool. So, all right. So now just to conclude, maybe we're going to talk a bit about the next steps. So as you see, the infrastructure is working pretty well. We are still improving it, of course, and you can help us, as you mentioned. And now the idea of libre.sh is, so the next step will be to migrate to Kubernetes at one point. And also the main step that we have to work on now is the identity management. Because for now, it's we want single sign-on. We want like people to manage their users and stuff. So that's really the next step we're working on. If people have skills in LDAP, we're looking for it. Actually, or maybe we're talking with Nextcloud also, maybe if you can help us on this. So that's like really the next step. And with that, we could have something similar in some ways in like Google Apps, for instance. You could just click on it and boom, installing. Like as easy as Google Apps. So that's really the step we want to go to do. And of course, in the hosters, it's just not only the two of us. Like we really wish that people use this infrastructure, improve it, work on it, and that we all work together to have many indie hosters or whatever you want to call it, or at least like different chatons that are using the same infrastructure than us. So if you want to join, you're welcome. If you want to use it, you're welcome. If you have questions also, you're welcome too. And yeah.
Okay, thank you.
If somebody has a project that wants to propose to be hosted, can contribute to create an image to host?
So the question is, I have a free software project and I want it to be packaged by indie hosters. Yes, it's possible. We can help on that. We actually did it for some projects. And so either we have a user that wants it and pay for the development of this image, or maybe you as a free software, you have a bit of funding and you help us by paying some time to help us to package it. And so it's usually how we do it, because it's difficult for us just to package it.
There's no documentation on how
Yes. It's, there is a documentation if you want. Exactly, this is the thing. You can do it by yourself, and we can help you on this. And if you ask us to do it, like either we do it for free or not, and we can work around some solution. And if you go to, yes, on our repo /application, Yeah, no, it doesn't work like this. So applications. So here you have a rough documentation, I would say, but basically it's like a Docker compose that expose a service called web that expose a port 80, and this is the minimum viable. Then you can have a little install script, and it's recommended to have like a pre-backup script to dump the database, and then we take care of the rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, how do you guys deal with security updates?
Okay, so we use CoreOS. And so I don't know if you're a bit familiar with them, but their tagline is securing the internet. And so they have all the plumbing. And with Docker, actually this is the nice part, is that if we want to update a server, we basically do a CoreOS update. They have a mechanism and so on. I will not enter the details. And then, actually, whenever there is a security issue, we just go to the... So, to update this chat, I would do like this. And what's happening behind the scene? Yeah, that's fine. What's happening behind the scene is that it's doing a Git pull to have the latest version of the repo, and then a Docker pull to have the latest version of the images, and then restarting the service. So it's really easy to update, and this is on the paper. Then hopefully the Docker image handles well also the update. But this is the goal of the Docker images. And so some are doing it well and some not yet, but yeah, it's the, yeah.
How does this compare to Sandstorm or other?
Okay, so the question is, how does it compare to Sandstorm or YNOHost? Let's say that Sandstorm and YNOHost is an implementation of Chaton. And we are another one. And so we have different ideas about what's nice or not. And for instance, on Sandstorm, it's really nice, but I don't really like their API that is Sandstormish, and I think the web should be open and use standard API or plugins. YNOHost, it's nice, but maybe not yet made for big hosting, and doesn't use Docker. Well, like everybody is free, like, and I prefer Docker, and that's it.
How do you do backups?
So to do backups, we have a little module called backups. And what it does, it loops through all the domains. And for each domain, if there is a pre-backup script, it runs it. And so usually the pre-backup is a database dump. So we plan to move this inside the Docker image of the database, but this is another topic. So then there is no pre-backup script anymore. So it just do like a little dump, and then zip, not zip, but use duplicity. Yes, use duplicity to push it to a distant server through SSH. And then on this server, there is actually a process that is putting the backups, the old backups, as read-only for this user. So if either server got compromised, cannot erase both sides. And so there is a package for that also. Yes?
Can you handle domain aliasing if you need chat.libre.sh and chat.libre.fr? You just haven't point the same service.
Yes, the question is if we can handle aliases, and so actually, so yeah, you probably want alias on the cloud, and yeah. So actually, yeah, we use a sysadmin paradigm called discovery registration. So it means that our microservices, the web server, are registering themselves in a central database. And this is all they do. And to do it, like this registering to the database, currently is just starting an Nginx container with the env variable virtual host. So it's just like, hi, I have a little, yeah. And then on the other side, there is HA proxy that is listening to every new containers created that have this env variable. And so and that's it. So then it could be aliased from the outside, and it would get an HTTPS certificate also. And it would be wired by the load balancer to the right web service.
You mentioned that Kubernetes potentially on the roadmap. Do you have an idea of how big a shift that would be, or what would be involved?
Okay, so one of the bets we did was that Docker Compose. Sorry. The question is how big would be to move the infrastructure to Kubernetes. And so we did a bet on Docker Compose, and with the hope that somehow the Docker cluster would be easy to manage Docker Compose. It's not true. And Kubernetes is winning at the moment. So it means that we have to rewrite all our Docker Compose file. The good news is that the Docker images are already written, and we can reuse them. So this is one part. Then there are two hard parts in Docker that are still difficult at the clustering level. And for clustering, for Kubernetes, is the same. Is first the network, and second, the storage. Okay. So for the network, ideally, we would like to have an IPsec network between the nodes. And currently, Docker Swarm provides this thing, but we don't want Docker Swarm. Flannel doesn't implement it. There are various pull requests, but never got merged. There are some projects around using Tink with etcd backend. This would be my guess if I would have to do it, and Flannel is not doing it. But I asked the CTO of CoreOS, and they plan to have IPsec on Flannel. So this is good news. So the network should be fine-ish. Then the last bit is storage. And our bet is Ceph. And on one hand, Red Hat is working on making Ceph working well on Kubernetes. So if you go to Ceph/Docker, there is a lot of recipes on how to run it on Kubernetes. And the CTO of CoreOS told me also that there is a company that is also doing a kind of operator for Ceph. So the world might be full of rainbows soon.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.